We're going to start today from Genesis chapter 4, then we proceed up to Noah and just there before, or we'll stop at Abraham. Then the next video will pick up from Abraham. Okay. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and unto his offering. So one was dealing with the ground in terms of farming, and one was keeping cattle, that is sheep. But unto Cain, verse 5, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou dost well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou dost not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Okay. So one of the two brothers, one gives an offering of fruits, and one gives an offering of animal blood offering. And God accepts one, and he kind of rejects the other. All right. Verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. We see the first murder here. I'm just going to get back to verse 6 and say, and the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? Then verse 7, you see here God telling Cain about sin, right? If thou dost well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou dost not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Okay. The slavery of sin being described here. Verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass that when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Right. Verse 9, and the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not, am I my brother's keeper? So these people now just decide to do us wonders. If not, the drama at the Garden of Eden would not be enough. You see here, the reason I'm pausing a bit is to give you a perspective which you need to understand of human beings. There are two people here, Adam and Eve. Then they give birth to two sons. Mistakes of the father follow the children, and these patterns will go down. You see, just point one by one. And the idea here is for you to have to pray or to gather prayer points in respect to these situations, right? Whereby, for instance, here you could get a prayer from this event and do actually pray for your children, so that one would not have animosity over the other, and both would, or all of them would live in peace, and not because these things are happening even at this time as it is. And you can see it started from way back. Okay, that's the thing I want to point out here. And here you see Adam not passing down some information to Cain and Abel, or rather to Cain, or maybe he did, but Cain did not listen. Although it's not written, but we can gather information from this text like that, because Cain would have known would have done this sacrifice of animal, or maybe he knew, but he was a bit selfish and didn't want to do all that work, that kind of scenario. All right, so there's an aspect of parents that is important for parents to teach children about God and how to work with God, and walk with God is important for their own good, because you will see the years Adam and Eve get to live, then they get reduced, but we are now talking about 120, but that is a very short lifespan. So within a minute, right, when we get to Peter, we'll see how a day is like 1,000 years to God, and that kind of thing, and vice versa. But it's important for children to be taught how to relate with God, and this becomes a prayer point for you, to pray for your children. May your children learn the ways of God. May they love each other as siblings in the name of Jesus Christ, right? Because this one begins another kind of drama that you can't even imagine. Anyway, verse 9, and the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? See such hatred, sibling rivalry. It begins here, and it's very heavy in terms of, it's very heavy in itself, that one is even talking back to God, lying to God, that kind of scenario, not even fearing the presence of God. So it becomes a very heavy section of verse here, and then we begin to see the first kind of murder. Verse 10, and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. When there's massacres and all that, blood doesn't evaporate to heaven. And people, when they are buried and all that, the ground takes them up. And when you pour blood wrongfully, it cries to God, and there's always repercussions to it. All right. So I do pray for all those warring nations to find peace in themselves, because the more you pour blood, the more you upset God, and later in time, a phase of life is about 120, then you have new generations. Terms and conditions apply here. Some people will face that music, of parents, that kind of scenario. Anyway, we do pray for each and every nation that is warring to have peace, and at least not to pour blood, this kind of scenario. Verse 10, and he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood cried unto me from the ground. Verse 11. And now art thou cast from the earth. This is a curse now, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Okay. And now art thou cast from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Verse 12. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Because he knew he will just die. Then verse 14 gets interesting. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me, because Cain knew the cost or the importance of having the presence of God with you and walking with God, the protection that came with that. He knew it, and he was somehow like crying to God. Verse 15 says, and the Lord said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So Cain cried to God again, and you see here God displaying mercy, and he gives Cain a mark. This mark becomes important because then he cannot be slain, or rather he set a mark on him lest any finding him should kill him. So this become protection. Also get a prayer point from here for God to give you a mark of protection in all your daily dealings. Verse 16. And Cain went out. This is now Cain dwelling in the land of Nod. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. There is something interesting of the presence of God, and this is an aspect where most people serve God. Like I fear the presence of God living, because it means then the Holy Spirit lives you. Then you become mortal, like you become you can't do anything without God. It becomes dangerous, because now it means you are left to Satan to torment you and all that. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord. The presence of the Lord, very powerful, and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. So he now leaves the Garden of Eden as well, or rather he leaves that area. Okay. And then he goes to Nod, east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch, and he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Now lineage is starting here. All right. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehujael. Now this aspect of and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived, and then it's only written that it's Adam, Eve, then Cain, Abel. Then you ask where the wife comes from. Although it's not really written, but my belief, all right, is the same way Adam was given the wife would be the same way Cain got a wife. All right, no, it's not written. Again, this is my opinion. It's not something that is written. All right, this is my opinion as well. All right, would be the same way. All right. Okay. and you'll see a lot of intermarrying between siblings and all that. I mean, it's something that began from the way the first man was living with animals, and that was carnal as it is to that point, right? Some communities also do practice that, but given that the time has already gone, Jesus Christ already come, it becomes of no importance as of now, because that doesn't take you to to heaven or allow you to receive the Holy Spirit as it is. But we'll see the aspect of that. So we are now beginning a lineage of Cain here. Cain dwells in the land of Nod, and Cain, verse 18, and unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehujael, and Mehujael begat Methusael, and Methusael begat Lamech. Alright, now we see Lamech's descendants, and to Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. And Ada bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in the tents, and of such as have cattle. Alright, and his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. Alright, verse 22, and Zillah, she also bare to Baal Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives, this is a lineage of Cain, according to Genesis chapter 4, verse 23. And Lamech said unto his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my heart. Verse 24, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. Alright? Very interesting. We see a pattern here beginning, same as what Cain had done. Alright? And here he knows that his avengement will be 70 by 70-fold, 70 by 7-fold, multiples of 7. Again, very interesting with the numbering. But here the most important point to pick is a pattern, which you should really do pray as a prayer point. When you're looking back in your father's and your mother's houses, way back, then you see, what did I do wrong, and how can you evade that pattern? Because we are all creatures of patterns, by spirit and by physics or physical nature. So may God help you to overcome these patterns. Some may be killing like this one, others may be having multiple wives, others might be not getting married or getting children out of wedlock, others may be drug addiction, others may be early death. We'll see such things when we get to Ruth, Naomi's events and all that. Everyone has patterns, a lot of them, right? Other countries just are at war all the time since the beginning of certain part of time. Patterns are everywhere, but only God will help you overcome such patterns through prayer and fasting, and mostly deliverance, right? Prophetic deliverance in some aspect. Okay, so that becomes a scenario where you see pattern repeating itself from the father. All right. Now verse 25, the birth of Seth, Genesis chapter 4. And Adam knew his wife again. Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth, for God said, she hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew, a replacement of Abel. Right? Notice that, don't worry what I mentioned about that. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. Now, very beautiful part here. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So we see the fall. We see Adam giving birth to one, the children fall. Then here we see God giving a second chance to Eve. Seth is born. You see some form of returning to God. Okay. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord, because they knew they needed the presence of God, the Spirit of God to function in various ways, right? Rather to serve God in very many ways. Now, chapter 5 of Genesis. This is a very important, the verse 26 is heavily important, because without that verse, or without Seth, without that time, them calling on the name of the Lord, a lot of bad things would have happened. Then the reset would have happened at that particular point. So chapter 5, Adam's descendants. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Now verse 2, male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. So their names, the female and the male had one name, Adam, but only Adam decided to call the wife Eve, mother of nations and all that, right? Or mother of, okay, we'll see. And Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. It's a copy of the mother and the father. All right, that kind of scenario. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. Now, God decides to move in the lineage of Seth. Why? Because in those days, then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So he chose this lineage. Now the Spirit of God is moving from Adam, jumps Cain. Could have gone to Abel, but Cain killed Abel, jumps, or he now moves generation to generation. Now he's moving from Seth. So he's going from Adam now to Seth. So that line of God is now trickling down like that. And by line I mean the Spirit of God. Because you'll see it up to Mary and Joseph of the New Testament. And it is God who gives children, right? Yeah. Adam's descendants, right? In verse 4, and the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. So there are other sons and daughters. So again, cycles of intermarrying were enough. There were enough women to marry men, because now you have distant relatives and all that. Because you can't say, all right, they were related, but aren't we all in some aspect? It's only that now we have enough people to intermarry distantly from race to race and all that. Verse 5 of chapter 5, verse 5, and all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. 930 years, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of years. Close to 1,000 years, that's a lot of years. I wonder how tall they were or something, but yeah, that's a lot of years. But he dies. Now, Seth's descendants. And Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos. So, we also see a pattern of Adam living 130, Seth living 105, thereabout, then getting the first sons, or the first months. And Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos, and Seth lived after he begat Enos 807 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. The years began to go down in this sense, right? Enos' descendants. And Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. And Enos lived after he begat Canaan 815 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. Canaan's descendants. And Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalalel. And remember what I was reading Matthew chapter 1, though they don't mention this other part, because I start counting from Abraham. Let's see why. Canaan's descendants. And Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalalel 840 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Why? Remember one thing here. These are children of Seth, child of Adam. If one was born 100, then they would witness the rest of 600, 700 years. Then knowledge would be passed from the first man to Cain, to Seth, because now we have two men. Seth, of course we have others, but Seth, right? So we have knowledge from the Garden of Eden being passed from the first witness, Adam, coming down to Seth. And this is a lot of complicated knowledge, because these are people who had walked with God in the presence of God without even dying. You understand? So they knew a lot, right? Which we'll see, some which are, being discovered right now. Anyway, yeah. Canaan's descendants. And Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalalel 840 years and begat sons and daughters. Right? 26 minutes. Mahalalel's descendants. And Mahalalel lived 60 and 5 years and begat Jared. And Mahalalel lived after he begat Jared 830 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalalel were 890 and 5 years, and he died. Jared's descendants. And Jared lived 160 and 2 years, and he begat Enoch. And Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 960 and 2 years, and he died. Notice how we just mentioned the guy living and then marrying and then getting children and then dying. Nothing relevant in terms of events. So that's very also key, because they are walking with God, but they are not doing any wondrous things, that kind of scenario. Enoch's descendants. And Enoch lived 60 and 5 years and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 360 and 5 years. Interesting, 365 years. Similar number to the days in a year. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Now, this is very interesting. We see Methuselah, very common, and then you see Enoch here. And Enoch walked with God. The rest did not walk with God, because it could have been written. But Enoch walked with God, and he was not. Now, there's a point where you can walk with God, or people used to walk with God in those days. You just walk until you walk together, until you reach heaven. I'm trying to be comical, but the point is that you live your life, in a way that is pleasing God, to a moment that you are having conversations with God daily, and you become a friend of God. And none of you can stay without the other. So God just takes you, gives you the door, and you continue walking and having fellowship with God, even to his dwelling place, which is in heaven. So this has happened before, and it is possible. All right. And Enoch talked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Powerful men of God these days, those days rather. There's a reference to that on Hebrew 11:5, but we'll see. Don't want to jump. All right, Methuselah's descendants. And Methuselah lived 180 and 7 years, because it's even Enoch did 300 years, and 365, and he was taken by God. Methuselah's descendants. And Methuselah lived 80 and 7 years and begat Lamech. We see another Lamech here. All right. Interesting. And all the days of Methuselah were 960 and 9 years, and he died. 960 and 969. These are a lot of years, right? Lamech's descendants. And Lamech lived 180 and 2 years and begat a son, and he called his name Noah. Now it gets interesting. Saying, the same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cast. It was tough, but there was prophecy here by the father to the son, which I do pray that all you fathers prophesy and speak positive and name your children good things to end patterns in your lineage, right? Because now this one Noah saying, this Noah shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cast. Okay. And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 770 and 7 years, and he died. Okay. It's interesting where you see Cain on Genesis chapter 4 verse. It's very interesting. In Genesis chapter 4 verse 16, verse 18, sorry, and verse 16, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Then Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch, and he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. So we have Cain marrying his wife and begetting Enoch. Okay. Then on chapter 5 of the same Genesis, chapter 5 verse 18, you see, and Jared lived 160 and 2 years, and he begat Enoch. So you see an Enoch on the line of Seth and an Enoch in the line of Cain. Okay. Same Enoch, and unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehujael, and Mehujael begat Methuselah, and Methusael, sorry. Here it's written Methusael, and on the other hand you have Methuselah. Those are different spellings, right? And Lamech lived 180 and 2 years. So you see a similarity here. Okay. Especially in the spelling of the names. Okay. But the one now the line of God moves to is this one. The line of Seth. Methuselah. Not Methusael. Okay. Because the other one does a murder. And this other one gets a son called Noah. It does a different thing from the other one. Doesn't marry two wives. Okay. The same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cast. That will bring a very interesting debate. which I really entertain because it's all leading to studying the Word of God as it is. I'd love to have to see a copy of this. Even in the commenting section here, the Lamech of the Genesis chapter 5. I'm reading commentaries of this text. Genesis chapter 5 verse 27. Methuselah's 969 years marks him as the oldest person in the Bible. Ancient genealogies commonly attribute long lifespans to people. While the Bible's numbers are exceptionally large compared to modern lifespans, they seem much more credible than those found in the Sumerian king list, which states that one individual reached the age of 72,000. Yeah. These are commentaries, not the Bible as it is, but just commentaries. Chapter 5 verse 29, the Lamech of the Sethite genealogy stands in sharp contrast to the Lamech of the Cainite genealogy. Both Lamechs are the only individuals in their respective genealogies to have quotations attributed to them, but Cain's Lamech spoke of murder and vengeance, while the Lamech in this chapter spoke words of hope and deliverance. The name Noah means rest, relief. Prophetically, Lamech declared that the son born to him will live up to his name. He will comfort humanity concerning our work and toil of their hands that had resulted from Adam's sin. A final point of comparison between the Cainite and Sethite Lamechs is the use of sevens. The first Lamech mentioned Cain's sevenfold curse and pronounced a sevenfold curse on anyone who will bring death to him, while Seth's Lamech lived 777 years before death came to him. For the numbers-conscious original audience, the author's inclusion of a figure consisting of 3 sevens would have trumped the first Cain's numbers and would have added a sense of completeness and perfection to the portrait of this man's life. The mention of Noah at the end of the Sinite genealogy serves as both a conclusion to this section of Genesis and a subtle introduction of the central human character in its text measure. A similar technique will be used in the case of Terah and Abraham. Yeah, this is just commentary of people with PhDs and all that. But from the text itself, you see these are two different people. And you want to understand by the name Methuselah from the Cainite Lamech and Methuselah from the Sethian lineage, which God is involved in. Alright, that settles that debate. And Lamech lived, I'm on verse 30 of chapter 5. And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. Noah's descendants. It becomes interesting. Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Very wise man, this one. Decided to wait for 500 years, study, get all manner of knowledge before getting, children. And I'm sure he must have seen the lives of the people in the Cain lineage and the other children of Abraham. Adam and Eve, because they have many. Then he waits about 500 years to get 3 children. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Then you see something happen here. Chapter 6. By this time, there's a lot of people. From where? From Adam and Eve. Because there are other children born there. Abel had died. Cain had children as well. So there's a lot of people, right? Most of whom would have known the location of Eden, but had no access to it because it was shut down and all that. Not really shut, but protected from access. So chapter 6. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them. That verse 2, that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. It is possible for God, here we see God having sons. And as I told you, in the heavens there are beings, angels, We'll see that a lot of them as we go through the text, and they're able to take the form of man, and be sons, because they are from heaven, And the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So angels and human beings started interacting. Okay. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. Look at someone like Enoch. You live all that time to the point that if you're working with God, you're also interacting with angels and all that on a day-to-day basis. That's a lot of time. And by then you have grown in spirit, to walk with God. Right? Then it becomes a pull and push scenario here. To the point of now, all right, there's so familiarity between the heavens and the earth, and then there needs to be some boundaries of some sort. Okay. Before man had fallen, he wouldn't know, and he was okay. It was, if Adam didn't eat of the fruit or get that knowledge, all of us would have been in a garden of Eden for quite an eternity of some sort, you understand? Yeah, but not to digress. So here, this is what it means. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also his flesh, and his days shall be 120 years. It becomes, the spirit of God through the angels now, it's becoming a nuisance, or rather a push and pull scenario, because, by giving children who are like, God, and it doesn't become holy in itself, it becomes a familiar spirit, So there needed to have been a space between the two, because one is serving the other. That is, human being is the lesser here, So here he cuts the age limit from hundreds to just about 120 years. And that becomes a very common figure for people who are humans. We don't pass that. We rarely do. And if you die, you literally become very old in that sense. Anyway, verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. These would be very mighty people, and they would definitely be giants, because they were living so many years, and some people have discovered such bones, of creatures who are big, because the more you age, the more bigger you become. That kind of scenario. Even a tree, an older tree will be very tall. That kind of scenario. But yes, there are giants, and these are not aliens. These are results of interaction between the angels or the sons of God with men, and then those children were giants. All right, no be small joke. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. They were experimenting with all manner of things. They had known good and evil, so they were experimenting evil and good. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Because as this is happening, something here is being tossed around like a ping pong ball, love. And one gets a baby, the other gets taken, multiple marriages and all that. So when you are trying to trace love as the quantity here, or just to trace the location of it, people are getting a lot of heartbreaks here. And God is love, and this one becomes a very messy situation where man has interacted with the angels and there's no order. It becomes chaotic. Some are even killing each other. There's a lot of adultery, all man. Someone is coming, taking someone else's wife. People are getting hurt left, right, and center. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and the beast, and the creeping thing. Has to mention the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. So God reached the end of it. He was tired. This is the all supreme nature of God, because He can decide to wipe away everything just like that. Okay, so here He had actually decided, look, I'm tired of all this. This is not going good. It's actually bringing a lot of harm than good. Okay, and wasn't happy about it. So Noah finds grace with God, verse 8 of chapter 6. But this verse saves all of us, because we would not be in existence today if it were not for this man called Noah. And it starts with a very interesting part. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. If you have a family and all of you do not know God, that generation will be wiped out. But you should pray, or one of you should take charge, and serve God and please God, so that just like the way Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, God would find grace, or you would find grace in the eyes of God. And that way you will stand in the middle of your family, because here we have the world as a family, and one brother called Noah finding grace in the eyes of God. So similarly, I pray, take this as a prayer point. Pray to God that you may stand, as a servant of God in your family. Just at least start with one. If all of you would stand, would be really amazing, because it would save your own generation or your own lineage, so that your whole families may not be wiped out, that kind of scenario. Because here, that's the idea we're getting here, or that's the lesson we're getting here. So Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 9. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. Simple. He knew God, he served God, he walked with God. He was the only one of all the people. Even the fallen, or rather the angels who are fallen, or rather interacting with men, forgot. Because, it was really wicked in all manner of ways. I know you can imagine it. I need not explain here, for all the private reasons of these platforms and all that. But this is very important. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. It was chaotic. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Verse 13. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. This was the end of everything. If it could have happened, we wouldn't have known where we would be if it's not for God. If we could have decided to end everything, would not be in existence. Only him would know. This takes us to, in the verse, the first Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God conversation. It's only him who would know what he would have done next. You have to fear God. You have no other choice. You have to serve God. You have no other choice. And you have to know how to access him through his only begotten Son, who is now God. Anyway. So, verse 14, building the ark. I'm on 50 minutes, that's good. Just 10 minutes to go. Verse 14, make thee now. As you can see, we are kind of saved by Noah. If you find a country where everyone is corrupt or violent, in the biblical nature of it, and you find just one person who is righteous, that one person can save the whole land. Last one. We'll see an argument that Abraham is making a case with God. And this whole text is quite legal, and I always say lawyers would be the best teachers of the law of the text, because there's terms and conditions, because Abraham knew this aspect of Noah, and we'll get to that point where he's negotiating with Sodom and Gomorrah in respect to Lot. If you find one person, that scenario, then we'll get to that. It's very interesting how, and God understands the law, because justice began day one, law rather in the Garden of Eden. That's where law began, for the lawyers. This will be really interesting for lawyers. Verse 14 of chapter 6, Genesis. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shall thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. All this knowledge is from God. The measurements are from God. If he would have done wrong measurements, the thing would have sinked. Verse 16, a window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above, and the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side. Remember, it says on verse 10, it says on verse 8 of the same chapter 6 of Genesis, Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 9, Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. Then verse 10, and Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. It doesn't say Shem, Ham, and Japheth found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Or it doesn't say Shem, Ham, and Japheth were just men with perfect in generations. They did not walk with God. It doesn't say that. So when you see a father walking with God and doing all kind of things, or rather serving God diligently and working with God, it's not automatic that the children will do the same. Each one of them have their own will or part to play, and that's why you see many teachers of the law or preachers and mighty men of God. They are mighty, but the children are lost. It has happened to Noah. It has happened to Adam. We'll see. And it will happen to a lot of people. To Samuel, it will happen. But we'll see. That's very important to see that part. So I'm on verse 16 of Genesis chapter 6. Now we are now building the ark. Verse 16, a window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above, and the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof, with lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Verse 17 is quite interesting. And behold, I, that's God saying, I, even I. Yes, I, even I. The PhDs are trying to explain, but none of them has touched this verse. But, and behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. Yes, the one that created that one, the Creator, he shall do it. All right. Verse 18, the promise of a covenant. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee, and of every living thou, Noah, the 3 sons, those are 4, the wife of Noah, it's about 8 people, eh? The sons' wives with thee, or the numbers. But verse 19, and of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. Not male, male, not female, female. The balance is done again here. How to bring all 2 creatures 2 by 2 so they can multiply again. Alright. 20 verse 20, of fowls after their kind, of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded, so did he. He had the knowledge to, mobilize all of those and bring them. Entering the ark, verse chapter 7. And the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. For thee, of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by the sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. Of fowls, because they know they will eat the clean beast and sacrifice such. Of fowls also of the air by 7s, the male and the female, to keep seed alive. Those which are being taken by 7s would be for human consumption and for sacrifice as well. So the numbers had been needed to be increased. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. We'll see 40 days, 40 nights when we see Jesus doing in the desert in the New Testament. Okay, verse 5, and Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. Verse 8, of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls and of everything that creepeth upon the earth, there went in 2 and 2 unto Noah into the ark, and the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. Verse 10, and it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. The flood, the great flood. Verse 11, In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up. The same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the self same day entered Noah and Shem. There's mystery in the days and the numbers there. In the self same day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth and the sons of Noah and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. We have an image here to try and imagine how the ark looked like. Okay, and they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life, or alive. And these that went in, male and female, of all flesh, not male, female, no, as God had commanded him. And the Lord shut him in the ark. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. The thing floated. That was a lot of water and a lot of weight. The waters prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered, and all the flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of beast, and of every creeping thing that creepeth up upon the earth, and every man. All in those whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died. And every living substance was destroyed which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fall of the heaven. There's a lot of water, even the birds died, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. The waters receded. And God remembered Noah. And God remembered a lot of days. You'd have forgotten Noah. Because Noah, even in the ark, was still having fellowship with God through prayer and all that. That's a very, very serious scenario of death. And God, being all powerful, and would wipe everyone out at his own will. Why? Because they did not do according to his will. Right? People serve God. Let it not reach this point. So, chapter 8 of Genesis. And God remembered Noah, and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. See how God is using water. Verse 2. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. The ark rested on Ararat. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. A raven and a dove sent forth. Verse 6. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. Also he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot. And she returned unto him unto the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet another 7 days. And again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. These cycles of 7, very interesting. And the dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him anymore. Yeah, it found land and went. He ain't gone back to the ark. Breathe fresh air. Find some twigs to eat. That dove, though. I hope he didn't go alone. I hope the friends would meet the dove, so he won't be lonely. Some land. Verse 13, and it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the second month, on the 7th and 20th day of the month, was the earth dried, leaving the ark. The heavens and the earth have enough water to cover everything. Best to know that. Leaving the ark. Verse 15, and God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife and thy sons and thy son's wife with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both of owl and cattle, every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth. No flexing, eh? And be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons and his wives, and his wife and his sons' wives with him, every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth after their kinds went forth out of the ark. Noah sacrificed and God's promise. Verse 20, and Noah builded an altar. First altar I'm seeing here. Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast, remember, and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. There had to be multiple 7 because it would be enough. Because if I had done this and just taken one pair of that clean, the clean beast, then it will not be enough. Or maybe they multiplied in I don't know the gestation period, but we'll see. But that's the point. Verse 21, and the Lord smelled a sweet savour, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite and any more everything living as I have done, because of the altar that Noah built and that sacrifice. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So God made a covenant with Noah, and we will never see such floods again. We thank God for that. But most important event here is Noah building an altar and offering burnt offerings on that altar. Not fruits and all that. Again, as I had read in the verses of Hebrew and all that, this was the way to access God, through burnt offerings, to please God and all that. But now the story changes with Jesus Christ. But this act of Noah becomes very important to all of us as human beings, because it gives us a covenant here, that we can live, in that kind of scenario. So God blesses Noah, chapter 9, and God blessed Noah and his sons. And God blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. Replenish. It had contents before, they were destroyed. Now replenishing what has been taken away. be fruitful and multiply. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Dominion is returned to man. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with life. I want to comment something here. The conversations here are happening with Noah and the sons, not the women or the wives, because of what has happened before with Eve, right? So that the power changes like that. But doesn't make women relevant in this aspect, because they are wives, and the help aspect still remains and all that. But the line of God now moves from man to man, 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 man to man. So if you're a woman marrying woman, then how would God move? Okay, verse 2 of chapter 9, verse 3. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. Verse 4. Okay, verse 4. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. You see, flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. Or burned to eat, meat that has life in it, like blood, which is life force. It's like it's equated to the forbidden fruit that blood is life force. Okay. It gives life as an aspect of godliness in it, and it's forbidden for that purpose, And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of God made he man. And you be ye fruitful and multiply, and bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. You see, still there's a blessing, but with terms and conditions. Don't kill, don't eat flesh with blood. And surely your blood of your lives will I require, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Remember when Cain killed Abel and the earth was crying to God? Similarly, blood of each and every creature will cry to God in some aspect. In some aspect, and you're liable to it. Given by this verse. If you've done this, what is written here, if you do what you're not supposed to do, as what is written here. But basically that is what it means. Verse 7, and you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring, this is now another command, be fruitful, multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. The line of God has to continue, the lineage, right? God's covenant with Noah. Okay. Where will we end today? Let me see. Let me end at verse 29. I hope I have enough. About 3 minutes. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. The rainbow. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you, and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you, every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Verse 16, and the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. So, we are now descendants of Noah with respect to the flood, right? Noah's drunkenness. And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent, was naked. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his 2 brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders, and went backward, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew that his younger son had done unto him. God himself, will see, made later aprons for Adam and Eve. It is a big sin to see the nakedness of your parents. These terms and conditions apply to all those who are addicted or those who partake in pornography, because you will end up seeing videos of people who are older than you. Then the terms and conditions you apply. So you carry these cars, May God help you. Canaan cast. And interesting, Ham is not cast, but the cast goes to the son. Okay. Verse 25, and he said, cast be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem and Canaan. Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. First person to die after the flood. Noah descendants. see how the curse is going. It will bring a lot of trouble to Canaan. Just of a stupid mistake like that one. And some of you are operating in the same curse. So next video we'll pick on, because Noah is dead, so now we'll go the line of the descendants of Noah all the way to Abraham. Then you'll see now that kind of thing. But now you see a picture of the terms and conditions from God, the curse, the pattern. Okay. And as I mentioned to you, Ham picked this character from the world that had been destroyed, because that was the violence and the chaos and the bad things that were happening at that time. It was okay. They had interacted with sin to that level. All right. And the repercussions was a curse. Also, this is why we advise people not to drink, because when you drink, then you forget that you lose touch with the Spirit of God, and you end up doing such a stupid mistake of sleeping and being naked in a tent, So if Noah hadn't drunk, a curse wouldn't have befallen Canaan. Please avoid drinking, be sober, be alert all the time, so you can hear of God and walk with God all the time. All right, drinking impairs your ability to judge things or do decisions well, because you drink, then you sleep, then you forget. But look what has happened now. Our whole nation got cast because of this. So Noah would not have drunk, would have been sober. He would have done what Enoch did. Would have just walked with God. But he got comfortable, made one son to sin, created a scenario for the son to sin, because if he had not drunk, then the son would not see nakedness. Also someone ought to have taught the son not to have, when you see such a thing, cover it up and all that. So it tells your character of harm also. So we'll pick it up from there. Okay. Genesis chapter 10.